Welcome on down to another review, fellow Dazzlers and new players alike. What is going on, everybody? Russell Joester here, taking you on a trip through time to our first Furry Game review. Oh no! Does this mean we're turning into a fetish bait channel the likes of E621? No, it doesn't. What it is it's just reviewing games with anthropomorphic animal characters. I mean, it is called Anthro Arcade, and I gotta put the Anthro in Anthro Arcade. Also, there's a lot of subscribers who came to this channel through my Winds of Change Let's Plays, which was a furry visual novel game. So I feel like if I'm not doing that, I'm kind of doing them a disservice because they probably want to see fuzzies. And I do think there's a lot of cool games that feature anthropomorphic animals, even to this day. I mean, if you're wondering where all the furries came from, take a trip to the 90s and look at how many Disney movies, how many video games were featuring fuzzy, scaly or otherwise type animal characters. Like today's game, Gex Enter the Gecko, actually a sequel to a game called Gex. Gex started off as a 3DO exclusive game, and if you don't know what that is, it's a failed console from the 90s. And fortunately, Crystal Dynamics had the sense to go, this is a sinking ship, let's put it on other platforms like the PlayStation. And so we got the sequel, eventually, Gex Enter the Gecko, that sees the titular Gex heading back into the media dimension to butt heads with his nemesis Rez from the first game. And how do you do that? You do what you did in every other game in the 90s. You collect things. Okay. Every game in the 90s wasn't like this, but collectathons, as they're called, were very, very popular, especially with Super Mario 64 setting the standard, gold standard rather, for collectathon-type games. In Gex, what you're collecting are remotes that gain you access to new areas, and there are different kinds of remotes you can get. There's the red remotes that you complete for doing different objectives, usually get to this area, or destroy this many types of things or types of enemies. You have silver remotes, which you gain from collecting enough of the little collectible icons in each stage. And then you have a hidden remote that's hidden away somewhere on the stage. You also have gold remotes that you get from defeating bosses and from completing bonus stages that the silver remotes that you collect will gain you access to. And of course, collecting all the remotes in the game is the only way to get that coveted 100% completion. So what do I think of this game? Why is this a might want to play instead of a should want to play? It all boils down to one of the big weaknesses of 3D games. Like, if y'all are newer, like younger, you might not have gotten to experience this, but for a while, the enemy of 3D games was the freaking camera controls. This game, coupled with how Gex kind of turns around. Gex doesn't just turn around and start running in the other direction. He kind of does this, and I guess they're trying to be more realistic, but he kind of does it like a person does, and kind of runs in a circle. And so you have that with the camera kind of panning around, and it really screws with you, and how you kind of measure where Gex is spatially in the levels. They do have different modes of the camera, which I appreciate them trying to, combat those issues. You have a manual mode, you've kind of got the semi-manual mode, and then you have the automatic mode. And this was back in the day before you used the right stick to move the camera around. In the footage, I'm actually using the L1 and R1 buttons, left and right bumpers, to pan the camera around, because this was back in the day when not everybody had a DualShock controller. DualShocks didn't become standard until the PS2. PlayStation 1 started off with just a D-pad controller. So, getting a second stick, let alone rumble support, that was a big deal in the 90s, alright? That was a big thing. I remember Star Fox 64 coming out, and the rumble pack would be like, oh my god, it vibrates when things happen in the game. That was a big freaking deal, alright? That was a big deal. So, they actually released whole other editions of the original Resident Evil to accommodate the use of the almighty right stick. So, Gex unfortunately uses the shoulder buttons, and you are limited to how you can do that. And that's one of the things that kind of makes the game a lot more difficult than it should be, is that camera. Definitely not a bad transition from 2D to 3D. I've seen a lot worse. Definitely seen a lot worse. You want to see something bad? Look at Bubsy 3D. Please don't make me play Bubsy 3D. If you want me to rant for an entire review of one of these, make me play Bubsy 3D. Maybe I'll do one of those things where, like, if I hit a certain amount of subscribers, I'll review a terrible game on purpose, or do a Let's Play or something like that of a crappy game. Just so you can watch me squirm. But this game, a crappy game, is not, at least in my opinion. It has some rough edges, but I enjoy it, and Gex is kind of a cute character, or cool character to play around as. I like the different costumes you get in different areas, and the lines he says, aside from tell time, because he'll won't shut up about how it's tell time. But, like, it's cool that with each section, he kind of changes what set of quotes he's using. So it's kind of more appropriate, because you go through different areas. You got, like, you know, a kung fu theater that's more like, you know, action kung fu movie themed. You've got Toon TV that's more cartoony themed, and even actually has an area where Gex is running around in a bunny suit trying to smack around an Elmer Fudd knockoff. You have Scream TV, which is horror movie themed, and a few others that you start to encounter as you go through the game. I haven't actually played through the entirety of this. This review is based off of what I played so far, but what I played so far, I enjoyed. What I've seen so far, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Maybe a 6, which on my review scale, I'm kind of like Angry Joe. 5 is average for me. So, average game. Not bad, but not wholly good. There are definitely better collectathons out there. But this one ain't too bad. So if you're looking for a time, if you want a snapshot of the 90s, mind you, because a lot of what Gex references is stuff from like that people were quoting and saying from like the 90s, yeah, definitely take a look at this one. Not a bad first installment. That is to say, not a bad first installment for this series, and we'll see what other kind of furry mischief we can get in it too. So, thank you for watching, take care, and remember, it's tell time!